Hey guys, welcome to my channel, Brand Live. So today we're going to be hanging out with Wig Fall Styles, and I'm going to show you guys how to do a frontal sew-in. So first I just started off, this is how I did my braid pattern, and it's just a beehive in the back with the braids going down on the side, and in the middle section of the hair, straight back braids. So I'm using this olive oil spray just to spray on her scalp so her scalp won't be itchy under her install, and it'll be good and moisturized. So as you guys can see, this frontal looks a little funky, and I made a video on how I customized this baby, so I'll link that up in the information bar. But yeah, I'm just laying it flush on her scalp and telling her to hold it. And then I'm just going to braid it down the sides to get the hair out of the way. This frontal was really hard to work with. A lot of flaws with this frontal that she got from the hair store. It was horrible, and because of that I wasn't able to secure it down good enough because it wasn't wide enough for the front of her head. So because of that, I wasn't able to sew down on the side braids like I wanted to. I wasn't able to get it as flush as I wanted it to be to her scalp, and it just wasn't really good, but the outcome was really good, so I was really excited for that portion. So what I'm doing now is just filling for the parts that need to be sewn over her ears, and then I just start and sew the back of the frontal down. So as you can see, I do put the needle through and I'll wrap it around, and that is just to secure the thread and knot it. So I do this every single time I go up under the braid with my needle. And this is just for extra security and just to have a knot in place. So if one end of the string comes out, has an extra security, so that the whole thing won't come out just because one portion did. So before I cut the tabs off on the side, I do sew it down. So I just went in and felt for that last braid right above her ear, and I'm just sewing on that braid. I'm continuing to do my knotting method and making sure that I am pulling the lace taut so that it can be rather close to her scalp, and the frontal can be flush with her skin. Like I said, I had issues with that during this time because her frontal just wasn't wide enough, and of course the quality of the lace wasn't as good as quality. So this is the struggle that I had to go through. So I also parted in the front and I just sewed that down. I didn't do my wrapping method here just because I wanted this just to be like seamless since it was right in the front. So I just did it like this so it could be less lace on the surface and it would be no knots up top. So I continue to sew down braids just randomly within the frontal, and like I said, this is just to make sure that the frontal is on there really good. You want to make sure that you're you want to make sure that you're sewing on as many braids as you can to where it won't be noticeable when they're parting in their frontal. But as you can see, this frontal has this white strip in the front and on the sides, so that's just a restriction to where she can't part in those areas. So right now I just parted off her part, and I'm just putting it in the style that I want to do, and I'm just using some mousse just to get that in place. So as you guys can see, I start right at the tip of the frontal and we work our way back, and I do the smiley face method of sewing. I do again tie knots into every time that I go up under the braid and up under the weft, just to make sure that it's secure. And I'm just going to continue to sew in this smiley face pattern, just going back and forth, and also continuing to make sure I do a knot on every time that I go up under the weft. So as I'm coming back around, you guys may be asking, why don't you use a net? A lot of my clients don't like nets because it restricts them from scratching their scalp or getting to their scalp. Sometimes it just annoys them, and then it kind of feels like they can't breathe in there. So doing these knots also ensure that these gaps that I don't have anywhere to sew is going to stay secure, because I'm tying it after every loop. So as I'm coming back up to the front, I'm just going to sew, and then I'm going to start to curve up once I get onto the lace on the frontal. And I know some people use nylon thread for this, but I just use regular thread. I don't really like nylon thread. I have to find some that I like. But I don't cut the tracks. I flip them over, and I make sure that I'm sewing right on that fold and tying right on that fold, and making sure it's really tight and really flat. So yeah, guys, this is my process. This is all I do. And when I get closer to the top, I just begin to sew straight across, and I end right at the line where the hair stops. So I decided to just go ahead and cut this band off of this frontal because it's so not cute. But like I said, you guys have to watch my customizing video of this frontal, and you'll see where I plucked it and everything. So you should definitely check that video out. So right here, I'm just taking out these baby hairs and just really getting them so the front will blend in with her skin. Now, I did not tint this lace because the lace was not good quality, so I didn't want to mess it up, and I didn't know how the lace would react. So I just said I'd rather it be lighter than her skin tone than to be too dark, and we can't really fix that problem. But with it being lighter, you can always put foundation or concealer or powder. And when I put this got to be glued gel on the front of the frontal, it really just made the frontal just fuse and melt into her skin. Although of course it's a different color, it looks much better once I did this process. And I did end up putting a little bit of powder foundation on the front of the frontal. So if you run into this problem, don't worry. You can either put powder foundation on the back of the frontal before you lay it down, or you can put it on top within those parts and things like that. But this frontal was definitely a piece of work, so just beware, and I would not recommend buying a frontal from the hair store. So I'm just going in with the freeze spray just to set it all in place. It was pretty set in stone before, but I just wanted to use that as extra reinforcement. And then I went in with my blow dryer. This is such an important step, to go in with your blow dryer before you set the front. So I'm just using my stretchy papers and I'm going in and tying down her edges. Now it's important to blow dry before you do this step, because you do not want these papers to just stick onto your frontal and not be able to come off, and then little pieces of paper will get stuck, and you'll see what I'm talking about when I take it off. But you just don't want it to be stuck onto your frontal. So my camera died on this part, but I used my Infinity Pro Conair 1 1/4 inch curling iron on 400 degrees to curl her hair in these big, pretty, voluminous curls. So right here, I'm just taking these papers off, and as you can see, it's super sticky, and you'd want to make sure that it's dry before you take them off, which hers definitely was. So I'm just taking the big side of this comb and just raking her curls out just to make them big and voluminous, and just kind of going with the natural flow of the curls. This is the finished look. I'm going to give you guys more visuals, of course, coming up, but I really had fun doing this frontal, and it was such a challenge, but I think it came out really cute, and she definitely loved the end results. And yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed, and comment down below and tell me what you think. I'll see you all in my next video. Bye.